Alexis Nunes alongside Stewart, Robson here at Stamford Bridge, a cold Stamford Bridge now, Robbo, where Chelsea, I think it's safe to say, survived quite the scare from Plymouth Argyle to get into the fifth round of the FA Cup. They went behind. They also conceded a penalty that Kepa Arrizabalaga had to save, but overall the Blues came out on top. Talk to me about what impressed you about this performance.
I thought in the first half, Ziyech played well. Down that, he played a little bit like Riyad Mahrez plays for Manchester City. He played wide, he got crosses into the box, he kept on chopping it onto his left foot. The disappointment was that when the ball was coming in, Lukaku wasn't getting on the end of it. Hudson-Odoi, who should have been coming round the back, only got on the end of one when he hit the crossbar. And I thought Azpilicueta realised where the space was on the field. The way Plymouth were playing with a back five, three central midfield players and a front two, Azpilicueta knew every time he went forward he could create an overload against their wing-back, and that's why Ziyech played so well in that first half.
Half-time, we stood here and we talked about how we saw the pressure mounting on Plymouth, and we were kind of expecting Chelsea to just run away with it in the second half, and they didn't quite do that. They did let Plymouth back in for a bit, so much so that the game went to extra time. What did Chelsea not really capitalise on?
I think it was a bit of both. Chelsea didn't play quite as well in that second half, although I thought Lukaku was better. He started to make runs in behind. He had a couple of balls rolled into his feet, which he turned the defender. And Mount got more into the game. But the game became more spread, and I thought Plymouth started to play a bit more. In the first half, they were very much get it into their front players at all costs, and there wasn't really any sort of composure in their play, despite them being 1-0 up. But in the second half and in extra time, they started to create one or two chances. The game got spread, and it became more difficult for Chelsea, I think.
We keep mentioning a certain name, Romelu Lukaku. Of course, he does stay in the headlines, for better or for worse. We have seen him at his best. Unfortunately, for the last couple of months, we've not really seen him at his best, whether it's personally or something more at Chelsea right now. Again, in a game like this, you kind of expected him to be all over it, maybe on the score sheet, or maybe a bit more.
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. What gives, Stewart?
Because whenever I've seen Romelu Lukaku play at his best, you can tell his confidence is high. When he played for Roberto Martinez for Everton, where he used to drift out to the right-hand side and make dynamic runs, he looked like a player that loved playing football. When he played for Inter last year, he looked like a player that wanted the ball to come into him. He looked as though he was going to score at every opportunity. He looked as though he was going to link up the play every time the ball came into him. When he was playing for Belgium under Roberto Martinez, he looked as though he's a threat, one of the best players in the world. Here at Chelsea at the moment, he looks like a player that's severely lacking confidence. He looks sluggish. He didn't have that many touches of the ball in the first half, and there was a lot of crosses coming into the box. He didn't work hard enough for his space. So there's a lot of things wrong with his play, but I think it all comes down to him not being particularly happy and lacking in confidence.
Not happy, why do you think? Because we heard our very own Kay Murray as well as Craig Burley talking about how there's probably whispers that Lukaku kind of wants Tuchel to build the team around him, something that we saw work at Everton, didn't work at Man United, and that's probably why he left. Probably worked at Inter Milan, and then now he kind of wants that at Chelsea. But is he in a position to ask Thomas Tuchel to build this team around him?
No player is in a position to ask a team to play around him. He's got to do what is asked of him by Thomas Tuchel. I don't think they get the ball into his feet enough. You know, when he was at Manchester United, people kept on telling me he can't play with his back to goal. I saw him play for Inter, and he was magnificent with his back to goal. Antonio Conte got him to be much better, you know, when he was facing the other way. And that's what they've got to try and do at Chelsea. They can't go back to saying that he's not very good with his back to goal, and he only comes alive when crosses come into the box, because I don't think that's his strength. I think his strength is running in behind, receiving balls into feet and turning defenders. Working for his space in the box isn't his skill.
Well, overall, let's look at Chelsea now. Just moving forward into the fifth round. They made it all the way to the final last time, where they lost to Leicester by 1 goal. I'm sure they'd want to go one better this time around. What needs to improve for that to happen? We know that there's still some stiff competition left in there, like City and Liverpool at the time of us recording this. You never know what happens in the FA Cup. But what's it going to take for Chelsea to go one better? Well,
I think over the course of the last few weeks, Chelsea have dominated games in terms of possession. They played very well against Spurs on 3 occasions. They know how to build up the play. They go down the outsides and create 2v1s against fullbacks and wing-backs. They need to now play with a bit more urgency in the top third of the field. They need to be more clever in the top third of the field. We saw 1 or 2 great bits of play from Ziyech, where he played a 1-2 and tried to roll it in behind the defenders for Lukaku, who couldn't quite get onto it. That cleverness has got to improve, I think, with Chelsea. And if they can do that, they'll be the all-round team.
So the Blues go marching on here at Stamford Bridge. In the meantime, though, it is heartbreak for Plymouth Argyle. Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.